When you hear the phrase "the one that got away," what is the first thing that comes to mind? A guy or a girl that you had a connection with but just couldn't make it work. A special partner that you once had, that you let go for some unknown or stupid reason. Well, this is the story of that kind of person. She was someone that I think of to this day, that I wished I just had the courage to win over. I met her during the first bloom of chatting through IRC or Yahoo Messenger. This was in the early 2000s and I was 15 years old and she was 13 years old. It was innocent enough at first. We chatted about everything from movies, to likes and dislikes, from school works to first dates and kisses. After chatting for about 3 months we finally met at a local mall where I lived. She lived a few towns away from me, so we only met on weekends when her family can come to my city for a business meeting and she can hang out at a mall or at a park. We became fast friends and soon, she would even come to my city to meet up with me without her family. We would watch movies, sing karaoke, have walks in the park and such. It was strictly platonic for the first few years until both of us were in our college years. As the years went by, she developed into a beautiful and gorgeous young lady. She was tall and delicate. Her precious brown features wonderfully accentuated the soft hazel eyes that I found myself lost in as I saw her in a different light. But we were two different people. As she reached her late teen years, she began to share stories of all the heartbreak she had with all the hot young men she fell in love with in her town. Meanwhile, I was in my early 20s and I was a one-woman man. I had a long-term girlfriend when she shared another of her heartbreak stories one night when we were sharing a drink and singing karaoke. It was just the two of us and I was comforting her while trying my best to still be platonic about the whole thing because I was, happily, with someone else. Out of the blue, she blurted out the words that would put me in a spiral. If only we had the right timing. Of course she was right. It always seemed as though that when I was single, she was with someone, and when I was with someone, that was the time that she would be breaking up with her man. So I kept my distance and just continued to be the doting best friend who assisted her in her latest heartbreak while quietly wondering if I could be with her if I didn't have my partner during that time. Soon enough, me and my girlfriend broke up a few months after that fateful night. I don't know if her words struck with me and was one of the reasons why we broke up with my girl then, or if it really was just the natural progression of our relationship. But as soon as I was single, like clockwork, she met a new man. We kept it platonic and simple for years because I never did anything and she always kept her feelings in check as well. In all of our years, as best friends, I never was able to visit her hometown because she would always come to my city. So one day, she invited me to visit her. By this point, her family and my family knew each other well and became close. Her family has visited our home a few times, but prior to that invitation I was never able to see her place. It was her 21st birthday when she invited me to come and see her place. I said yes, and as an added precaution even told myself that I could sleep in a hotel in her hometown should the need arise. There wasn't much to see in her hometown as it was mainly her birthday party that she wanted me to attend. I arrived at the bus station and she greeted me with those mesmerizing eyes and $1,000,000 smile. When I saw her home, it was simple yet elegant. There were 2 stories with 4 steps separating the kitchen and the living room. The house was decorated with flowers and balloons. Of course, the traditional menu was present on this day and I tried my best to help in any way I could with the preparations and such. It was a memorable day that soon moved forward to an unforgettable night. She had a lot of friends and introduced me to most of them. Her lady friends were flirtatious, but I kept my composure as a gentleman. She introduced me to her boyfriend, and yet somehow, the boyfriend was territorial and would pull her away when we were talking or catching up. I just let the party die down and soon most of the visitors left and what remained was me, my best friend, her boyfriend, and her family. As soon as the party was over, I bid my goodbye and left to go to my hotel for the night. I felt a little bit weird because the boyfriend somehow felt threatened by me, and suddenly I remembered that my last girlfriend had problems with my relationship with my best friend too. I tried to let go of all those emotions when I heard a knock on my door. It was her, as she asked if I could come in. I let her in, and as I gazed on this suddenly grown adult woman standing in front of me in her red dress and high heels, I felt my heart skip a beat as we hugged and kissed cheek to cheek. She was apologizing for her boyfriend's behavior, and once again I was reminded that I was the friend and her heart belonged to someone else. We talked the night away until early into dawn as we drank wine and chatted about literally anything we could think of. Finally, as our night came to a close, I suddenly blurted out, "What are you doing with that guy at the party? You know you should be with me." Egged on by my drunkenness and the sudden raise of her eyebrow, she said, "You weren't there for me when I needed you most." "He was there, that's why I chose him." I heard her tears as I realized our bad timing. Every time we tried to express our feelings to one another, the other one was always with someone else. I just kissed her forehead as I apologized and led her to the bed as I slept on the couch. From the bedroom I heard her mutter, "Why are you always a gentleman? I'm here in your hotel room, in your bed, and you won't even make a move." I knew she was drunk and would regret it if something happened to us in our drunken stupor. But I was challenged by her words, and I saw myself walking towards the bedroom and lying next to her in the bed. I didn't make a move, I just lied down next to her, took her hand and held it in mine. She was breathing heavily now, the palpable tension could be cut by a knife. Finally she placed her head on my shoulder and suddenly we were kissing. I didn't know who initiated the kiss, but suddenly our lips touched and our mouths open. Suddenly our tongues were dancing, exploring our wine-soaked mouths. Our kisses became more deliberate, our hands exploring every inch of our bodies. I removed her dress until I saw the firm and ample breasts of my once childhood friend. She removed my jeans as I stood in erect, unable to hide my excitement for the road ahead. We continued our romance until the wee hours of the morning. We made love twice, and we even bathed each other's bodies in the shower as we explored our newfound intimacy. Suddenly it was the next day and drunkenness abated. She suddenly realized she had a boyfriend and I was her best friend. She left quickly soon after and I couldn't reach her for days. days turned to months and I tried to see her or even call her parents, but to no avail. I didn't know what happened, but suddenly I lost my best friend. Months turned to years and suddenly she just messaged me in social media when she was already in the States. Our friendship rekindled, but it wasn't the same. We never did talk about that fateful night, and I can only see her now as my friend who lives in another part of the world. I still miss the friendship we once had and wonder if our one night together ruined what could have been a forever love.